thought you could exhale. Am I right?
Were you thinking that? Because I got off the plane at LAX and everyone wants to know if LeBron is coming down.
Well, listen, if you have to take phone calls, do it. Look and listen closely. Memorize this moment because Major League Baseball is trying to do the impossible. Remove a video from the internet. And this, a potential seismic shift in the NBA. Let's go around the horn.
Right you go.
Never stop it.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter.
A bombshell from down south. Our very own Chris Haynes reporting that Kawhi Leonard wants out of San Antonio. Then a follow-up Woj bomb. Kawhi has Los Angeles, and preferably the Lakers, as his #1 trade destination. Leonard played just 9 games for the Spurs last season due to injury, and the rift between player and team felt more like a chasm by season's end. I'm Kate Fagan, filling in for Tony Reale. Ramona, I got to start with you here. What do we do with this information?
Well, look, I think it's what the most important thing is here is that Kawhi Leonard, if he indeed does want this trade and gets traded, would be passing up about $70 million. That's a lot of money here. The Spurs can give him $219 million as an extension, but the condition to even talk about that kind of an extension is to get in a room with Greg Popovich, man-to-man, Kawhi Leonard and Greg Popovich, not his entourage, not his uncle, not his agent, not anyone around him, and talk it out and find if they can find some common ground. That meeting never happened, Kate. They didn't even get in a room. I know they talked this summer a bit, but Pop's not even in San Antonio right now. Kawhi's been in San Diego training, trying to rehabilitate his quad injury, and from what I've told, he's making great progress in that rehabilitation from the quad injury. So we're at the stage now where they have, according to Chris Haynes, irreconcilable differences to the point where he's willing to leave $70 million on the table. That's a heck of a lot of irreconcilable differences.
Woody, what are you taking away from this news?
Well, that's a lot of guacamole in San Antonio, too. I've been told earlier in the day by Ramona that there's more to this than just the money, though, Ramona. I've been told that it's all about the people that are around Kawhi, there are people that are around the Spurs, and this meeting that was supposed to take place, and the fact that he really wants to go to L.A., although he's being treated by the doctor who is the team doctor for the 76ers. A lot of drama ahead over the next couple of months. I think that he just wants out, and if you're the Spurs, you better do it now because he can't opt out next year, and you better get as much as you possibly can. If you can make a deal with the Lakers and get those 3 young stars that they have and say, that's what it's going to take to get him out here, that's what I would do.
Tim, what are you focusing on in this?
Well, I mean, you know, on the one hand, it's been the worst kept secret in the world all season. We've talked about the problems with Kawhi and the Spurs. But even going through all that and him only playing 9 games and all the acrimony, you figured in the offseason they would get together, they would hash it out. The Spurs know how talented this guy is and what he means to them. And they would figure out a way, and Kawhi knows what $70 million is worth, and they would figure out a way to do this. But instead, it's gone the other direction. Now, if it's true that he says L.A., preferably the Lakers, is his first choice, well, I don't know. The Clippers have a couple lottery picks. Maybe they could jump in there. But, you know, it's a really tough corner for the Spurs to be in. They can't just deal him to the highest bidder because Kawhi may not want to go there.
Jamel.
I think of all the players that you thought might cause some NBA drama in the offseason, I think Kawhi Leonard's name never would have come up had you asked anybody a year ago. It's really fascinating because Kawhi, obviously not a man of many words, but it certainly seems like with this move and with this checkmate of the Spurs that he is clamoring to be seen and clamoring to be on a bigger stage. I mean, look, the Spurs don't have a whole lot of options here, but the fact that his people, his camp, have put this story out here and put specifically where he wants to go, with Kawhi only having a year left on his deal, that means that he holds all the cards and he holds all the leverage. And the only teams that can try to get him are teams that can offer him the opportunity to win, the draft picks and the assets. And it seems like he's sort of destined to be a Laker.
Ramona, answer the question that Jamel's even posing here, which is, can the Spurs even get equal value considering the position that Kawhi has now put them in?
No. I mean, you really can't in the NBA. Like, the teams that could give them the most, right? We're right before the draft. So the teams that can give them the most would be the Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings, the teams that have the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft. Well, if Kawhi doesn't give them any assurances that he would re-sign there after his deal is up, you're not putting the number 1 or 2 pick in the draft in that kind of a deal. The only teams that the Spurs can really deal with are teams that Kawhi would accept a trade to and then potentially re-sign with. Now, there's 2 teams in Los Angeles that have a lot of young assets, okay? The Clippers have 2 lottery picks. Granted, they're not the number 1 and number 2 picks in the draft, but they're still lottery picks. The Lakers have 3 young players who anyone would like on their team going forward. They also have a first-round draft pick. Philly probably could give them the most if they were willing to talk about Dario Saric, maybe Markelle Fultz. Boston is another team you should look for. New York, they've got some young players, but if you're going to get equal value for a superstar like Kawhi Leonard, people forget how good this guy was, man. He was in the top 5 in MVP voting, Defensive Player of the Year. He just missed last year, but he's still that guy. If you're trying to get equal value, you want the whole league bidding on him.
Woody.
Well, Tim and I are going to call the Nuggets and the Mavs and say, hey, get in on this.
Right.
You got assets, at least one maybe on each team, but I still think that the Lakers deal that can be made there, if you take those 3 young players, I think that makes San Antonio whole for the future because they surround them around Aldridge and a couple other players. They replace those old guys.
Tim.
Woody can call the Mavs for me. Mark's not taking my calls these days. But I would just say real quickly, the Spurs aren't looking for equal value. They're looking for value. They got to get something, recoup something for this, and then move on.
All right, that is the start of the NBA drama free agency, it seems like. But moving on, a video from 2016 surfaced on the internet this week. The clip, now with audio, takes us inside the moment when Mets pitcher Noah Syndergaard was tossed for throwing behind the Dodgers' Chase Utley, who the previous postseason had broken the leg of Mets second baseman Ruben Tejada. Well, MLB commish Rob Manfred ain't happy with the leak of the video and wants it removed from the internet. Woody, what's your reaction to Manfred trying to erase this from the net?
Good luck on that. I mean, ask all the athletes who have been on social media and tried to get back what they have said. It's not going to happen. I don't blame him for this because he does have an agreement with the Players Association and the Umpires Association about releasing such video. But he can't get it back now. That toothpaste is out of the jar there. Yeah. So what you got to do? Yeah.
I'll give you a
my
point.
Toothpaste in a jar. So what you got to do is apologize and move forward and say we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to make sure that with our networks, including this one and the other one, that we're not going to allow this to happen anymore. But once they put microphones on umpires and coaches, you knew something like this was definitely going to emerge.
Tim, do you use toothpaste out of a jar? Is that how you use your toothpaste?
I'm from the
I
South.
do not, and I also didn't know we were down to 2 networks. But let me just say this. Rob Manfred's a smart guy. He probably has to do this because of that agreement. He knows it's not a simple matter of you take that down from the internet and it's going to disappear. The funny thing is, it makes the umpires look great. It makes Tom Hallion look great.
Yep.
These guys have terrible credibility, and he takes charge in kind of a funny way. I think everybody loves the umpires, how they come off in this video.
Jamel.
Well, it's a shame that Rob Manfred had to do this, but at least it explains why when I saved this video, because it sort of reminds me of when you're in a club and you're trying to convince the drunk friend to not get in the fight. Now I know why it says video no longer available, so I guess Rob Manfred was successful in some regards. But it's a shame he has to do this because part of what is selling sports these days is the entertainment value. And I think this is a real good, pardon the pun, but not really, inside baseball look at what actually happens in that domain and in that interaction. And I think it actually makes both sides look good, the managers and the umpires, and you see exactly how those fireworks are created.
Ramona, what was your response to this news?
I mean, I was entertained by the video, but I'm one of those people who think certain things should be private. Like, I didn't like the video of Donovan Mitchell at the end of a game. I don't like this. If you want candor from coaches, players, umpires, and you tell them not everything is going to be public. We may have cameras on you, but we know what to show and not to show. And then something like this happens and you get it violated. People are just going to be so paranoid, and they're not going to be able to be themselves on the court, on the field, or wherever they are, because you're worried about the camera that's bugging you. Look, we do it. We have the Facebook show when we're all just talking before the show and in between breaks.
Really?
And sometimes I say, hey, this is not for the Facebook show, okay?
Right.
Like, you need to be able to have that, and I don't like that they're violating it.
Jamel, back in.
Yeah, that unfortunately, that toothpaste left the jar a long time ago, Ramona. And here's the thing, though, as these leagues are charging more and more and they want to get paid more and more by networks, then they're going to have to come up with creative ways and ideas to entertain people. And one of those ways is to give them that behind the curtain look.
All right, more news from our baseball overlords. On Thursday, Manfred said that the discussion toward a universal designated hitter, a DH in both leagues, has progressed. The commission also said the league is in the discussions and the analysis phase on an illegal defense rule for defensive shifts. Tim, what's the bigger issue to you?
Oh, I think it's definitely, it's definitely the shifts. I don't really even hear anybody talking about the DH thing anymore. I mean, it's been 45 years. We've kind of settled into one league does this and one league does that. The shifts clearly have affected the game. They've affected batting averages. And even if you're really smart to do some of these things these teams do, is it really good for the game? Is it good to turn all the hitters into home run, walk, and strikeout guys? I don't think it is, and I think it's something they need to look at.
Which one was bigger for you, Jamel?
For me, it was definitely the defensive shifts. I agree with what Tim is saying. However, we have to look at how games evolve, and not just baseball, but all sports. Remember, at one time in basketball, the idea of playing a zone defense in the NBA was considered to be not manly and not professional and not what the league was all about. But eventually, they had to switch and go to that. I just think with entertainment being such a big part of sports nowadays, you have to be able to produce offense. And these shifts are clearly stopping that. And as a result, they have to do something to counteract what's going on.
Ramona, you had a long history with the baseball and the softball. What say you?
Yeah, I was a little slap hitter, okay? And if somebody put a shift on like that, I would just hit it down the third base line. Like, every time I see the shift, I'm like, dude, don't turn on the ball. There's 4 outfielders over there. There's nobody playing third. Just hit it down. Like, you have to have some kind of bat control. I can't understand why guys don't do that. To me, it's almost selfish because you're just saying, I'm just going to hit a home run and that's it. No, get yourself on base.
Woody.
I'm all for the shift. Learn how to bunt, players.
Right,
to go on. But, Tim, you're talking about, the batting averages are down. Let me give you an average. 112. That's what pitchers hit in the National League. Really? Is that what you want? Go with the DH. It doesn't change the World Series. It doesn't change the All-Star game. You actually keep stars around, as you know, longer, so we get to see them as a DH. I want to see both leagues.
Tim, quickly.
I watched the Rangers play. I'm not sure a 112 average is that bad. That's pretty reasonable right now.
Or the Mets. All right, that's our horn. We got Ramona way out in front because of that inside NBA knowledge. Light years, lying, and the long ball. Buy or sell is next. It's away from where he was last year, so wow. Now, as a figure of speech, we get it. Watson, coming off an ACL torn just 7 games into his rookie year, believes he's got a grasp on the NFL playbook and opposing defenses that he didn't have last year. Ramona, buy or sell seeing a Watson who's light years ahead of where he was last year?
Yeah, I love that he's saying this. I mean, people forget when he was injured, he had 19 touchdown passes. That was type of NFL lead with Carson Wentz before he got injured. So if he's light years ahead of that, the Texans should be very excited.
Woody.
I'm buying it hesitantly because mentally, yes, I think he's going to be light years away. Physically, though, an ACL takes a full year to recover from, and guys have some problems after that. So I think, since he was injured in November, it's going to be mid-season for him and Wentz before they're really back to where they were before.
Tim.
I'm buying it. He doesn't really have to be light years ahead. He just has to go back to last October and produce like he did then when he was tearing up the league. I think the other good sign you see him, and I know he's just throwing passes, he's not wearing some giant brace on his knee, so he obviously feels confident out there.
Jamel.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying it. I mean, I think him advancing mentally is a big part of this because maybe if he doesn't have to rely so much on his athleticism and instinct and he can rely on knowing that what he's seeing and breaking down defenses, I think that could go a long way as he recovers physically from the injury he suffered.
For years, the Washington football team has maintained the existence of an overflowing season ticket list of more than 100,000. Seems the logic was similar to that of a nightclub. Line around the corner makes people want to get inside. Turns out, though, for Washington, there was not a line around the corner. This week, the team sent out an email announcing, quote, season ticket memberships will be available immediately to all Redskins fans. Woody, something to see here?
Yes, there is. There's some lying going on in Washington, D.C. for a lot of years, not just now. But if I'm Washington, I go buy some tarp and cover the entire field in it. Or the other thing I do is have double headers. Come watch our football team. The Caps are going to play afterwards.
Oh, Tim.
I'm buying that they win the Bob Arum Award. Yesterday they were lying. Today they're telling the truth. They really don't have very many fans. And they're happy to sell you tickets if you want to come buy them.
Jamel.
Yeah, I'm buying it, though not buying some of those tickets, even though I'm a new resident here in D.C. I'll say this. I'm proud of the fans because we see so many fan bases that just continue to support teams that don't put out good talent on the field, that aren't a good product. And these fans have decided with their wallet that they don't love the fact that this team has only made the playoffs 5 in the last 25 seasons, probably don't like the owner a whole lot, and they have made the decision. So that is forcing Washington, hopefully, to up their game.
Ramona.
I'm buying it, but I don't know what to do with it. I like somebody telling the truth. What? You were lying to us before, and now you're telling the truth about Trouts? I mean, my goodness. Like, I think it's great, but it also is very scary when you start to tell the truth about how much people are actually interested in your team, because I live in Los Angeles where the Clippers used to sell season ticket packages based on the opposing teams that were coming through here, and it smacked of desperation. So you got to be careful. Don't go too far down that road.
Baseball. Word is that the league office has reached out to the Nationals' Bryce Harper to gauge his interest about participating in next month's Home Run Derby in D.C. The league apparently is concerned the event won't have its usual star power. Tim, should Harper feel obligated to participate in this Home Run Derby?
I don't know if obligated is the right word. I think he should feel excited to do it. It's his town. It's his ballpark. It's his showcase. And he knows it didn't, the rumors about it hurts you in the second half basically aren't true. He's done it before. So I think he should want to be out there.
Jamel.
I won't use the word obligation either. I think Bryce Harper should embrace this opportunity because, look, the hometown fans, they're coming there to see him in many respects. And when it's in your hometown, you're in charge of being the ambassador for the city. And so I think this is a special opportunity for Bryce Harper to further connect himself with the fans locally.
Ramona.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think, look, this is your town and this is your city and you're approaching free agency. What better way to show these fans, like, this is your town. I'm gonna own this. And I understand not wanting to do the Home Run Derby every single year. He's done it once. He doesn't have to do it every year. But when it's in your town, you need to step up.
Woody.
Well, he might play in the All-Star game wherever he goes next year since he's in the contract year. But they all talk about how it affects the swing. He should certainly want to do this because it might affect his swing. He could hit 250 instead of what he's doing now. Playing.
All right. We have been horned. Tim, Jamel. You guys go put some toothpaste in a jar for me, all right?
Yeah, I'm headed to Walmart right now to see if they got it on sale.
We got Ramona. We got Woody. Showdown is next.
Big jar.
Buckets.
Hey there, Kevin Nagani with you, coming up on SportsCenter after PTI. The very latest surrounding the developing news that Kwahi Leonard wants out of San Antonio. We'll get the why and which team is at the top of his list from Adrian Wojnarowski and Brian Windhorst.
Around the Horn is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's most loved wireless company. Join the Un-carrier today. And Gold Peak, the taste that brings you home.
Ramona, Woody, showdown. 219 diamonds on the newly distributed Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl rings. 127 diamonds for the combined jersey numbers of the players involved in the Philly special. Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie credited the players for the high diamond count. Quote, the blingier the better, he was told. That about right, Ramona?
I'm surprised somebody had to tell him that. I mean, as the woman up here, let me tell you something. If somebody wants to buy you 219 diamonds, just say yes.
Yeah, as someone who is in my wheelhouse right now, that I've given 4 diamond rings to women, I'm saying no crass, make it class, keep it simple. Eagles, you've gone over the top.
Woody, admitting that you're buying meager engagement rings earns Ramona a point.
They weren't meager.
We are here to reinforce the inescapable reality of the animal kingdom. Apex predators are strong. Here, the San Antonio Zoo, 3 WWE stars, leading with all their might against a chill young female lion who's all, why so serious? What's your takeaway here, Woody?
That contest is no good unless they're in the cage with the lion. And if you want to do this rope pulling contest against the lion, do it at night because the lion sleeps at night.
Oh, man. Man, that lion has all the leverage, and she looks determined. That's not even a fair fight.
That wasn't a fair fight because Woody brought up one of my favorite oldies. So we got a point for Woody. Earlier this week, Izzy brought to my attention how jacked Josh Gordon is. Just take that in. Whew. Then, late last night, Mike Bibby posted this picture from the set of The Avengers. No, for real, guys. Look at Mike Bibby. That's Mike Bibby. And just a reminder, I thought this was Mike Bibby. Ramona, who showed better?
I mean, did new Mike Bibby eat old Mike Bibby? Because, my goodness, that is, like, not even the same person. I can't even get over it. I can't even react to
It's
that.
Josh Gordon. I think he could be in Black Panther 2. I mean, the guy apparently has spent his time away from the football field the last 3 years actually working on that sculptured body.
Appreciate the movie reference, but the correct answer was Mike Bibby. FaceTime Ramona.
Okay. So Lakers owner Jeannie Buss sent the Twitter sphere into a panic the other night when she tweeted, "Never underestimate, ... Nothing left to say. Fans in Los Angeles went crazy. What does that mean? The real story is it means nothing. It means Jeannie Buss was having fun with people. She started typing one thing, realized it was the perfect non-tweet, and had fun. Everybody's upset. Come on, this time of year, people in the news need to have a little fun too.
Right? Tony Reali. He's going to be back next week. That's going to do it for us.
Welcome back.
71 and a half hour break.